I know what you're thinking. I don't want to be an employee forever. But here's the truth. Most of us will be employees for the rest of our lives. And that's not only okay, it's actually the smartest play for most people. All the internet gurus tell you there's no way to make it by working for someone else. But did you know that 78% of Nvidia employees are millionaires? That's around 20,000 people who got rich from a job. Being a millionaire employee is impressive, but look at this guy. His name is Steve Ballmer. He was the 30th ever employee at a company called Microsoft. Today, he's worth over $120 billion. Even though he literally started off as an assistant to the founder of the company. This guy was by far the most dedicated employee anyone could ask for. Many people knew him for his energy. He was a hype man, known for this famous video.
Developers, 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 developers. Developers, 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 developers.
Sure, Microsoft and Nvidia are already giant companies. You might want to stay till the end of this video, where I'll cover 2 seriously hot areas to work in, where you could catch the next rocket ship. You don't want to miss it. 10 years ago, I was in a tiny room with barely any money. My phone was pretty basic, but it did give me access to the internet. And with that, I spent countless hours learning about investing. But here's the thing, I didn't have any money to invest. That changed when I started posting my investment ideas online. One day, someone messaged me saying they made a lot of money buying something I wrote about, and even sent me £1,000 as a thank you out of nowhere. And then it hit me. People will pay you when you figure out ways to add value for them. Employees are paid to do things because business owners either can't or don't want to do. Fast forward to my late teens. I worked 2 to 4 full-time jobs at once. Earned lots, spent little, and invested virtually everything. That hustle actually helped me escape the 9-to-5 grind for good. But that's another story. If you're interested, check out the video titled I Retired at 21, 7 Lessons for Anyone in Their 20s. Link in the description below. Everyone online tells you starting a business is easy, but the truth is, most businesses fail miserably. In the UK, about 60% of small businesses disappear within the first 3 years, and 20% go bust in less than a year after starting. Running a business is not for everyone. It gets brutal. I've seen it firsthand from working for all sorts of people. I once heard about a company that raised nearly $1 billion from investors. They scaled from 0 to 2,000 employees in just 1 year. Then a few years later, they burned through every penny and fired all 2,000 employees in one fell swoop. How on earth does that happen? Bad management plays a big part, but imagine being the owner. You've built a company that gives you a net worth of billions on paper, yet you haven't actually made any real money. As things are starting to go well, suddenly everything crumbles overnight. Just like that, you've lost everything you worked so hard to build. No one is truly too big to fail. But why is being an employee better? As a business owner, you could spend an entire year working like crazy, only to make nothing, or even worse, lose money. Employees see their earnings increase over time. Think about it. If you're good at your job, you have the freedom to switch companies if you need to. But if you're a failed business owner, you're not usually the kind of person companies want to hire. And going from being your own boss to working for someone else won't be easy, especially if you're used to calling the shots. You may need time to adjust, but with bills to pay, you're forced to work any job. So, how do you actually get rich as an employee? There are 2 ways. The first is to earn a super high salary at a really big company. There's actually a lot of people doing this, from big execs at global companies to top salespeople in upcoming areas like AI. If you want to follow this path, you need deep expertise in one specific area. If you started off as a junior salesperson working at Amazon Web Services earning $100,000 a year, let's say you spent 5 years building up relationships, selling to many large companies, you'll soon start to be in demand. You see, an employer pays you based on what you're worth to them. And the easiest way to measure this is how much money do I make them and how much do I cost to hire? If you make a company $1 million but get paid $100,000, the company makes $900,000 just by keeping you there. So with 5 years passing, if your own clients made up $10 million a year in sales, another big company like Microsoft or Google might approach you with a big offer, something like $1 million annual salary, just to get that extra $10 million in business, creating a bidding war for your talent Now you're earning crazy money as an employee just like that. When you start off in sales, you're not that valuable to anyone because most of your day-to-day is handling inbound business. Basically, people who reach out to the company you work at. These aren't your own relationships and therefore they don't have that much value. But as you start to build a network of your own clients, your value as an employee skyrockets. And to do this, you need to network with decision makers at startups that have either recently raised lots of money or are making lots of profit. The second way to get rich as an employee is by working at a startup and making sure you have equity as an early employee. For example, you could join a startup you believe in, like a fast-growing AI company. Doing this, you might accept a smaller salary, say $60,000 a year, but instead get 1% equity in the entire business. If that startup grows to be worth $1 billion, your equity could be worth $10 million. An important thing to remember though, when startups raise money many times, something called dilution happens. Basically, new shares in existence dilute your overall shareholding in the company. So your 1% from before might only be 0.5%, but even with a 0.5% stake, you could still net $5 million. AI is going to be huge, but how do you actually find the next big company? You need to look where the smartest investors are putting their money. There's a startup accelerator called Y Combinator. It's arguably the most successful place that has helped build massive companies like Airbnb, Dropbox, and Instacart. Around 4.5% of YC companies become worth over $1 billion. Pretty good odds. And most hire their first employees when they're only worth about $10 million. Imagine you join a company and they offer you $50,000 worth of shares every year at a $10 million valuation. If you work there for 3 years and the company is now worth $200 million, your shares could be worth up to $3 million. In these sort of companies, what you earn in shares is actually more important than your cash salary, because working at a startup will rarely pay you as much as a larger company would. Company shares could be worth nothing, but they could also give you life-changing wealth. So it's something to think about when choosing your career path. YC has a directory on its website where you can read about every new company that is launched out of its accelerator. You can get jobs at YC companies by either 1, applying to open job postings on their websites, but normally the companies are a whole lot bigger when they actively post about new positions. Or you could do 2 instead, my favorite method. Connect with the founders of these companies on LinkedIn, introduce yourself, and find ways to help them grow. Whether you're a talented developer, designer, or salesperson, everyone can win if the company wins, even an assistant. Remember, Steve Ballmer started there and is now a billionaire. Right now, here are 2 hot themes to read more about if you have some spare time. 1. AI agents. These are basically digital employees that can do things for you, like a sales rep who will not only filter through the lists you give it, it'll also write different sales emails, then reach out to potential clients and manage the entire sales process, basically removing the need for a human. Very scary stuff, but a lot of progress is happening here. 2. Robotics. Physical robots that can replace tasks that waste human time. It started with logistics, where Amazon warehouses are almost fully autonomous. But now, robots will soon be used in our homes to help put away groceries. One company, Figure AI, went from a $2.6 billion valuation to reportedly $39.5 billion in just 1 year. Don't get me wrong, a job can be very stressful, but nothing compares to running your own business. While business owners have unlimited upside, after earning a certain level of wealth, your quality of life actually gets worse. So you only really need a certain amount of money before you're able to relax. And what we've learned from this video is that working a job can get you there too. This is why you should be an employee instead.